Have you ever been curious about what's in an already made emergency kit? Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to Cascadia Dispatch. I'm Casey, and today we're going to do an unboxing of a WISE 5-day survival emergency kit. This is an example of what you might find at a grocery store or Target or somewhere like that, of an already put together emergency kit that you might want to use for 5 days or 3 days to support you and your family. So we're going to go through it and look at it. There will be other videos that we're going to make on what may be good or bad about it, what we might do differently. But today we're just going to focus on the unboxing portion of it, showing you kind of what's in it, what you might find in an emergency kit, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. So we'll open up the seal and look to see what excitement is hiding inside of it. So first off, there's the actual backpack. So we'll get rid of the box because nobody needs that. So this is the backpack that it gives you. As you can see, there's a lot of latches and kind of some elastic stuff here. One thing that you don't really see on here is any sort of molly webbing or places to attach a lot of extra packs or something like that. So you'll be able to maybe put a jacket up here, but there's not a whole lot more that you're going to be able to add to this bag. Looks like it's waterproof. The nylon and the zippers look pretty solid. We'll open it up. So let's start with the little pocket first. Little pocket, nothing in the little pocket. So now we'll move on to the medium pocket. And looks like the only thing that's up here is an orange flag, so you might use this for some sort of signaling or to let people know if you're in a team or something, who's the leader and who's at the back or something. Not really sure how useful that is, but that's what's in that pocket. There are some side holsters on each side that you can use with these little draw tags, where you can kind of make them bigger and smaller. So you can put a water bottle in that. They're not really deep, so how big of a water bottle you could put in there is probably a question mark. There's one little pocket up here. This is kind of an odd pocket, but there's nothing in that. At the top, there is actually, this is very strange. There's actually two main pockets that look, one, I thought the top pocket was a sunglass case, but it's actually the entire bag. So there's a front big pocket that you can use, and it has one pocket, two pockets. These look to be maybe water resistant or waterproof, so maybe you could put like some wet things in here. Not a whole lot of great organization going on in here. There's kind of big pockets and little pockets, but what you would put in there, it's not real clear what's going on. So then in the big pocket, where all of the stuff is, so we'll pull all the little bags out and we can go through them. So the big pocket, there's a little bit of padding on the back for comfort. There's a little inner zipper, which, I mean, I don't know, maybe you put change or glasses or something in there. It's a little weird that it's a little pocket at the top like that. There's a grab handle on the top of the backpack, so you can actually like grab this one-handed, which is nice. If you look at the back straps, so one thing that is nice is there's this kind of yoke version of the straps, so it's going to be a little more comfortable to wear. The straps are padded and it looks like it's adjustable. There's a waist clip, so depending on, or a chest clip, so depending on kind of how big you are as a person, that may or may not be helpful to kind of give you some stability and some sturdiness. There isn't a place in here for like a water pouch or anything like that, so you can put like a hydration bladder or anything in here. There's a very little pocket here at the top with some netting, which I guess, normally you look for like a sunglass pouch or something at the top. I don't know if you would put maybe a wallet or ID or something in here that you would want to be able to access really easily or see, but it's kind of it's got pockets, but the pockets are kind of in weird spots. It's not really defined what the pockets are for. All right, so let's get into the pouches and the packages. Wise Food is known for being a freeze-dried food company, so you would expect there to be a lot of Wise freeze-dried food in the Wise survival bag, and shockingly enough, there is. So you got maple brown sugar, oatmeal cereal, got apple cinnamon cereal, you got creamy vegetable pasta, which I've actually tried this before, and it's actually reasonably good. There's Southwest beans and rice. There's whey milk alternative. We will talk about this here in a second. I'm going to set that to the side. And then hearty tortilla soup. So one thing to note is this is supposed to be a 5-day survival bag. So this should have all your food and water for 5 days. And what this is really telling you is you have 5 meal pouches, which are 800 calories, because there's a quarter of a pouch and there's four servings in a container. So it's about 800 calories per meal. And then there is 12 servings of this milk alternative. So while the box says there's 30 or 35 servings in here, they're counting 12 of those as this milk alternative, and the rest are a little 400 calorie, like dividing this up into 4 meals. The other issue with this is that once you have to add water to it, so once you've made it, you can't really store it super well, and if you're out somewhere else, there's no refrigeration, so really you're looking at kind of eating this as you go, and then this they're also counting. So you really are getting 5 meals and a bunch of milk. All right, so let's get on to water. So one thing to keep in mind is with freeze-dried food, you have to have enough water to actually make the freeze-dried food. So what they have given us in the water department, it looks like, is some purified emergency water pouches. So these are great in that they're purified, they don't necessarily expire. You can kind of put them in your bag. There's 4 ounces, so about half a cup of water in each of these. For your meals, you need 4 cups of water. So there is not enough emergency water here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these pouches. So you need 4 cups of water to make the food, but you only have really 2.5 cups of water if you used all of this emergency drinking water to do it. So you're going to need to find some sort of an alternative water source to actually make the food that is part of this package. One thing that they do have is they did include some aqua tabs. So these are water purification tablets. So if you are out and you find some drinking water that you can kind of clean and get some of the dirt out of it, and it's not full of all kinds of chemicals and things like that, these tabs will purify it and make it drinkable for you. As far as how much they will purify, the directions don't actually say. So you don't really know how much water you are going to have. It looks like there's 2 tabs per little square here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you've got 10 tabs here plus 5 pouches. So realistically, unless each of these tabs purifies a little over 2 cups of water, you don't have enough water to make the food that's in the bag. Not sure how you feel about that, but I would be a little bit uncomfortable with that. Hey everybody, just wanted to take a quick minute to stop the video and give you an update. I was able to find some instructions or some additional details on the water purification tabs, and it looks like each tab will clean about 2 quarts of water. So with 10 tab, that's 5 gallons of water that you would be able to clean. As far as the taste goes, who knows exactly what they would taste like. Sometimes water tablets can taste really chlorine-y. Sometimes they just have a weird, funky taste to them. But it would at least be drinkable. So that would be enough water to actually do all of the food that you have in the pack, plus give you a little extra for drinking and hygiene. The problem is they don't give you any sort of a 2-quart container to make the water in. So you still would have plenty of water, but you just don't have anything to make it in. You'd have to go try and find something. So just wanted to give you that update while we're talking about the water. I'll return you to the video now. To make one of these, and you have a cup that only has 2 cups of water, you now have to boil 2 cups of this, 2 versions of this, to make one of these, which just doesn't seem like the right ratio. It's not what, if I were doing it, I probably would do it a little differently, and we'll get into that in future videos of how to do that. To go along with the stove, I'm looking in here, fuel tabs. So here you go. So these are fuel tablets that are designed to go with the little stove. And so you would put these in, light them, and they will actually fill the, burn and heat up the water. For those of you paying attention at home, there are 4 tablets. There are 5 meals. So again, you are trying to heat up 5 things with 4 tablets. I don't know how that math works out, but you would then probably have to find some other alternative fuel source like paper or cardboard or sticks or something. And I say that because the stove is not really big. So if you're going to try to burn something, you're not going to put a log or something in this. You're not going to maybe put this, you might put this on top of a fire and try to cook with it if you've got a bigger fuel source. But if you're trying to come up with some sort of a replacement for these fuel tabs, you don't have enough fuel tabs to run the stove to make all of the meals, and you don't have enough water to boil with the stove that you don't have enough fuel tabs for to then make all the meals. So it's just matches. So they give you some waterproof matches. These are really good. Waterproof matches are always super helpful, and especially if it's in a rainy situation or it's cold or windy or something, having waterproof matches is going to be really helpful for starting all of the fuel. They do give you an emergency blanket. So this is great for keeping you dry. It reflects most of your body heat, so it will keep you warm and keep you dry. It doesn't, it says it's 140 centimeters by 210 centimeters. Destroy after use, and it's for single use only. So you have a 5-day survival kit with a single use emergency blanket. Interesting. Now, most emergency blankets, even though it says it's single use, you can still fold it back up and use it as long as it doesn't tear. But a lot of the less expensive Mylar blankets will tear, and so that's also part of why it's single use, because they will rip. This is an emergency rain poncho. So if you're thinking about it, okay, I could wear this in the rain, and this will also probably keep me relatively warm. It'll be pretty humid and maybe uncomfortable, but it will keep me warm. And then maybe this is something I fashion into some sort of a shelter. I'm not good at converting centimeters to inches to try to figure out how big that blanket is, but if it's designed to keep you warm, it's probably not big enough to actually make a real shelter of any kind. It's probably more to kind of wrap around your torso and your head and keep you warm and dry, as opposed to cover your entire body. Next up, they've provided us with some Kleenexes or some facial tissues. Sure. Not sure, other than, runny noses and things. I would prefer to maybe have some wet wipes or some paper towels or something with a little more structure if I'm going to use it to like wipe my hands, or if you don't have a shower and you're trying to wipe yourself off, you're eating and you want like something to wipe food off of your face. There's not a whole lot of tissues here for that sort of thing. Little first aid kit. So this is great. Having a little first aid kit is wonderful. It's not super big. It's got some bandages, it's got some gauze pads, it's got some alcohol cleansing pads, and it's got some, it says cotton tips. Let's see what those are. Oh, they're these. Okay, so they're basically like a Q-tip. So this will work if you get some sort of a minor cut or a scrape or a scratch or something like that. It's not going to, there's no medication in there, there's no trauma stuff in there. There's not even a whole lot of, okay, I've sprained my ankle, do I have an ace bandage or a splint or something like that. This is really like, I cut my hand and I just don't want to bleed anymore. All right, what's up next? So the hand pressing flashlight. So this is intriguing to me. Let's see. So you press this, and by pressing it, it turns on. So this is great in that it doesn't require batteries. So you don't need to worry about batteries or solar or anything like that. It's kind of like a hand crank, but it's actually a little bit easier because it's like a push. So actually, if you have kids or something and they wanted to do it, it's probably easier for them to squeeze and press it than it is maybe to operate the big crank. So that's a great thing. It's got a little button here so that it'll kind of hold this trigger button down, so it's a little more compact when you put it in your bag. And then it's got the on and off. So it looks like this hand crank maybe charges a little battery or a little something that's going to hold the charge to then allow it to work as an LED. It does look to be pretty bright-ish. I mean, I can see it 6 feet to the wall. So in the dark, it's probably pretty decent. But it's not going to be like big search and rescue or anything like that. Like, it's to make sure you don't run into a tree that you're walking next to. Looks like we have two big things left. So one is this survival whistle. So when I was a kid, these were super fun because it made you feel like you were very survivally, and you could order them like from magazines and things like that. I think I got mine at kind of a pre-Cabela's sort of a place that they had in Portland. It's got a compass on it, which I'm not sure how accurate that is, but it is there. There's a little ferro rod where you could strike to make some fire. So I guess if you run out of matches, they're assuming that you can use that to make some fire. There's a huge whistle, which is great for signaling. But having a whistle this big is it's way more whistle than you probably need. Inside, there is nothing on the inside. So I would like to see maybe the matches stored in here because there's a little waterproof washer ring. So I would like to see that. Or, something else, money or something. That's a lot of wasted space if you're not going to put anything in it. And then there's a little signal mirror. So this is great for signaling. It's a little on the small side, but you don't need a whole lot to kind of make the glint that someone might see far away. Light travels for a longer time. So this is okay. I've never been a huge fan of these because they just feel like they're really big and kind of more of like a toy than they are like a real survival thing. It's got a ferro rod, but there's nothing to strike against it. I guess you could use the side of the stove to strike it, but there's no multi-tool, there's no knife, there's no steel. I mean, you could try and maybe use the cup and do that, but it doesn't look like it's sparking. So, and it's got a little lanyard, so you could actually tie this to the back of the backpack, or you could put it around your neck and wear it that way. Playing cards. So these seem like this, if you were to lay all of these things out, The playing cards would probably seem on the surface to be the silliest, but actually these are really useful because when you're in an emergency and you're kind of sitting around or you're trying to meet new people, having something like playing cards is a way to introduce yourself. It's a way to kind of build community, and maybe you're in an evacuation shelter or something like that. It's also a way to keep your mind occupied when you're sitting and waiting for 3 or 6 or 8 hours for the next move in evacuation or something like that. So this is actually kind of a useful thing to have in there, even though it seems silly. Glad to see that in there. Let's see what else we got. Antiseptic cleaning things, cleaning wipes. So these are kind of your antibacterial, antiseptic. I want to clean out a wound. I'm sure that they have them separate because maybe they're using it as like a facial wipe or something, or to wipe your hands or something like that. I would like to actually see these stored in the emergency kit, because the first aid kit, because this is really more of a medical thing than it would be anything else. And then finally, there is a N95 mask. So this is a respirator mask that you would put on your mouth, and it would help you breathe if there's dust or anything that's airborne that you would want to not breathe into your lungs. So that's what's in the WISE 5-day survival kit. I think notably, it's a good start. I feel like this is one of those kits that if you don't know where to start, okay, you would buy this, and then there's plenty of space in the backpack to fill it up with other things, like maybe more water or some additional fire starters. It definitely has some food. You might want to have more food. One thing to consider with food is whether or not you are allergic to the food ingredients. So most, at least a couple of these had milk in them. Looks like there may be some cheese, possibly eggs involved in some of this. So if you are allergic to some of those sorts of things, you know, having 5 packages of food with only 2 that you can eat is a problem. We'll address that in future videos. I have a son who has lots of food allergies, so we've done a whole lot with this sort of food to try to make it better for him. We'll go into that later. So ultimately, this seems like a really good start. The bag was $55 or $60 at Fred Meyer. It was the one kit that they have that's already there that you just walk in and buy. You would definitely be more prepared than you were if you had nothing to begin with by buying this pack. Is this a 5-day survival kit? I would say probably not. I don't know that you would, unless you know a lot of bushcraft skills and things like that, I don't know that you'd be able to survive for 5 days with just what's in this bag. But it's a good start. As we go through with more videos, we're going to talk about how to adjust what's in here, reasons why. I actually don't have one of these. I've made my own. I think a lot of people who have spent time end up kind of getting something like this to start with, so they feel comfortable that they have something, and then they move on to something else and something bigger, something more customizable, something a little bit more substantial, things that you can use in other uses and other areas for other events. So anyway, that's the unboxing of the 5-day survival kit. Please subscribe, please like, please add your comments if you have any. This is the first video that we're going to put out. It's a little long. I was hoping to make this more like 5 minutes, but we're going more like 25 minutes, so I don't expect everyone to watch it all. But if you do, thanks for watching. Again, please subscribe, tell your friends. We're going to continue to put out videos. I'm not sure exactly how frequently we're going to do that, but we're going to try to get them out. We'll probably start breaking down pieces of this and doing some comparisons. So again, thanks for watching. Appreciate you spending your time. And again, like, subscribe, share the channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.